Alright, welcome back to Full House 7th edition, where we are playing Vanheim. It is turn 31. Probably going to have one of our mages get assassinated. Ooh, more than one. Well, let's see. Ulm has claimed a throne. That's good for them. And then we missed with our site searching, as happens. Helheim brings a prophet in, and maybe we will run out of commanders for this army on this province. So let's see. This is a van of some kind, a Vanherse. So this probably isn't going to go well. Yeah, he's going to bless himself. Not that useful in this case, sadly. Yeah, so many problems with this bless. It does at least give him poison resistance. That's relevant. Really? Phantasmal Warrior? Like, he does have an air gem. Yeah, he's got an air gem. Instead, he wants to, waste fatigue. Yeah, we've seen how this goes. It's not impossible that he wins, but it's pretty unlikely. Especially, too, I don't think the bugs have any morale. Yeah, once they get the hit and the glamour goes down, that's all she wrote. So this is going to be a big problem. So let's see, our mummy, unlikely to come away with it. I don't think mummies have a ton. Yeah, we do have bodyguards. That's the other thing. We've been getting pretty unlucky in terms of our rolls on bodyguards, but at least the mummy showed up with some bodyguards, just some long dead. We don't really want to put the units we care about on the mummy, right, because of the disease cloud, but this is a big problem. We're probably just going to have to jump off of Pangea until we can get some kit. Which is very sad because we're not likely to ever return. All right, there you go. Lesser Earth Elemental. This I think is because he could have cast like the full-sized Earth Elemental, but you can see with lesser because he has much higher pathing. Right, the fatigue level is low enough. He's like, oh yeah, that's the play. Because now what are you gonna do? Yeah, flying shards, fantastic. You never know. We could get lucky. The dryads, I don't think he's really been giving them. Yeah, there's no kit. Like only nature gems. But I mean, yeah, no kit either for our smith. He's not sacred. He doesn't bless himself. Like, yeah. We knew the smiths were pretty vulnerable. And let's see, another Vanherse. That's unfortunate. The Van Jarl is really like the one that's likely to be able to resist this, and then this is just gonna be another. I gotta take these air gems off these guys. I just, like one attempt, right? Because we'd really only seen the Vanherse with the air gem once before, so you never know, because the mages do different things sometimes. So it's gonna be one of those things where 75% of the time they summon in the lesser air elemental, and then every once in a while you have a guy that doesn't. Then it's like, okay, maybe it's worth it. Definitely not worth it because they never really utilize it. He might have actually used it for that shockwave, but they're like just as likely to kill themselves with the shockwave. So yeah, that's 0 for 4 there. And this is just a problem with Pangea. This is not a war that we picked. And probably should have seen this coming, right? Especially when Pangea didn't even bother to defend their capital, right? Like they're happy that we're on top, and we're gonna go through another round. We might not make it off the capital here, because there'll be another round of seduction attempts, and or that's the other thing. We might just get mages seduced. Luckily, I think our morale is high enough that that's not too likely, but it doesn't really matter since they're gonna get the kill anyway. And then let's see if this fellow... No. So, I don't know what province this is. Probably just one of the ones that we counter-raided back. So, Bandar being relatively conservative, or possibly this is not the thug that pushed as far into our territory. Obviously, against one province defense, that's going to work out, but it's also not that big a deal. And let's go look at other people's woes for a minute. That's just a ping. There's been a lot of pings back and forth. Does look like has decided to hang out though, so this is Femoria just taking a look at what's on top of their capital. But yeah, there's going to be a storm, so we'll get to see that later. And then yeah, we continue to lose territory here. This was expected. This is kind of an interesting group. I don't really... These crystal Amazons, they're tempting. They're archers. They have a short bow, which is crap. Yeah, we just have one province defense, so this isn't going to work out. They have higher than normal precision, though, those crystal Amazons, but the precision doesn't really matter. So, they still tend to be pretty inaccurate. Obviously, we lose that province, but an interesting raiding group. Definitely one that I think, we can deal with without too much difficulty. Speaking of interesting raiding groups, yeah, again, just one province defense. Although this also, the satyr, although I have to be careful. Sometimes there's a lot of types of satyr out there. Pretty sure these guys we can turn around without too much difficulty, but yeah, they actually have slightly better, higher hit points, kind of better skills than a lot of human troops. Low protection, but yeah, maybe a little better than I give them credit for. So that might not be as easy. Ooh, nice. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, we also take control of a province. That's okay. That's our one undead fellow and his vampire buddy. So it worked out. Like, who could have guessed? I did not think that was going to work, but there you go. You got to, try stuff. And then Pangea just coming right at us, I'm guessing, yeah, with everything. Luckily, we still have enough commanders, so really this is a good thing. Now, I mean, our blessed situation is going to be problematic. You can see that like some of our Vanherses are just rushing forward because they're completely unled, but luckily the majority of our troops were on the Vanjarls because I knew that the other guys were more susceptible to being assassinated, so we're less likely to have our leadership in place. Unfortunately, a chunk of our Vanherses do eat the lance charges, and it's just a downside of, again, some of them being unled. Do you manage to get out? Okay, the Harpies come in. This is our Earth Elemental. It does look like we lose our other dwarf to the Harpies, though. I thought we had some bodyguards on them, but I don't really... Using the Vanherses as bodyguards, it's not great. I think I had them hidden in the Vanherses, thinking that the Harpies would jump in immediately. I thought they were undisciplined. Are these some thugs? No, these are just mages. Who are unkitted. Not really sure. I mean, I guess, they are earth mages, right? So, yeah, they do have high protection, but once our guys berserk, even though we have no strength on the bless, and we've seen how that can be a problem against thugs, these aren't really thugs. So, yeah, we're able to clean this up without too much trouble, and that's really like kind of a best-case scenario. Pangea did us a big favor there, even though we definitely took some losses. Not all of our guys managed to get blessed. Yeah, so we lose 15 Vanherses. That is pretty painful, but I'd say Pangea is probably done. Like, yeah, we kill all the White Centaur, and I mean, if they had any White Centaur in their capital, surely they would have brought them out for this battle. So I think that's it as far as White Centaur go. Maybe there's a raiding group out there, but I think Pangea is pretty much done. Assuming that our we're just gonna storm, like, because if we move off, we're gonna eat the assassination attempts anyway. So it's like we might as well just try to, right? The walls have been breached. It's probably empty, other than the freaking dryads, who are very relevant, but in a battle they're not gonna be too relevant. So it's like we might as well assault, but there's a good chance there's gonna be no commanders left to lead that assault, because pretty much like each Vanherse, we have a few other commanders. Sorry, each Vanjarl is gonna have to. There's 4 potential assassination or more, right? There's probably more dryads pouring in. Anyway, this is it's not going great, but we have a chance. So this is a different thug that's just pinging, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, Kaelasa, like I said, seems like a solid player. I'm not sure about pinging with like that much investment. Let's just double check that that's one of the kitted thugs, because I mean there is always the chance that they don't retreat successfully. Yeah, like she doesn't have like the full 30 morale or anything, so like this could go poorly, and this is a ton of kit to be risking like this. So anyway, they do ping us somewhere. Not sure which province this is, but it is a place where we have a decent amount of province defense, and then we do hold it because there's a retreat, maybe a misscript, honestly, like that stuff happens. Then here's the assault. We are expecting this to be fairly significant. Okay, they have a twice-born fellow. Was probably once a Fomorian king, and he's been kitted out. He's got a whip of command, so clearly down to it. This is not a weapon that inspires terror, but, it's a weapon, I guess. Honestly, I'm not even sure if it's worth it, because dual wielding does reduce, like, your overall attack skill. So probably actually just worth like leaving the whip of command at home. Although I guess, I mean, with the strength that he has, it does still do a lot of damage, although it's probably capped. Yeah, max 1 point of damage, so never mind. Pretty much all whips are capped. So, he's got some gear, like clearly Fomoria's down to it. Probably I'm going to have a capital defense that looks not too dissimilar from this in the not too distant future. So, careful about throwing stones and glass houses. Otherwise, like, yeah, just some Furbold up front. It looks like Skelly spam, which is fine. Like, that makes sense. That's a respectable research target this early on. Clearly, things haven't gone well. There's a Demi-Lich hiding in here. Not much in the way of gems, it feels like. Yeah, lots of paths here, which does feel a little sad. I mean, sometimes you just don't have any research that requires gems. So, maybe that's the case here for Fomoria. Perhaps also that they have moved on to other games, greener pastures. Certainly wouldn't blame them for that. So, Skelly spam. The thing of it is, Skelly spam is really effective at defending forts. So, like, there goes the Furbold, but, like, the undead don't care. Luckily, does have, like, almost not about all, most of their mages are also priests though, so just by bringing mages, and has brought a good amount of mages. I feel like a lot of times, especially early on, people don't bring that many mages, and you do lose research for bringing mages, so I see the argument for leaving them at home, but it's like, you know, you're committing this many troops and, you know, like a lot of value. I don't know, it feels like you ought to support that. Like, yeah, looks like despite all the priests, all the banishment, you know, I mean, this is a problem. Are half giants, right? So their attack density is not great, and like anytime you're trying to take a fort with infantry, that's always rough. Doesn't really have a ton of options here, I think, although, I mean, it's not impossible that they thug, and I do think they get some fellows with air paths, so like maybe a couple of thugs flying in. They were able to summon in a few air elementals, or maybe lesser air elementals, so maybe leaning more on that. But I do think this battle, I mean, I don't know, it's hard to say. Actually, is getting through, so, you know, they have like, what, 30 rounds roughly? A little over 30 rounds here to close this out, assuming, of course, that they don't rout, because, I mean, you know, undead are pretty awful, and they are pretty much outnumbered at this point, but you can see a lot of troops, you know, have taken damage. Yeah, we can see the archers now starting to rout. Obviously, the archers not great in melee, at least these ones. They just have their furs. There's regular troops. This is a lot closer than I thought it would be. Yeah, Skelly spam, very powerful. Unfortunately, Fomoria's had some retreats as well. So, you know, even if they come away with this, the Demi-Lich, of course, cannot retreat. So that's a bit of an advantage. And then, yeah, now it's just the Mage Cluster, who are not set to advance and cast spells. That is possibly something that could have swung this in Ur's favor. It is dangerous, but yeah, I mean, personally, I like to at least risk a few mages on advance and cast spells for a major important fight like this. So, bit of a painful one for but, you know, it does kind of work out for them. You know, Fomoria doesn't really have much left. And this is the wrong battle. Let's see here. Yeah, so I mean, doesn't really lose all that much. These guards, I think, are, yeah, they're kind of expensive, so that hurts. But, you know, I mean, otherwise, like, they don't lose any mages, maybe in the retreat, but basically it's just the Demi-Lich and, like, yeah, two casters, so they're not going to be able to stop another attack from so a little painful, but should work out for them. And then we also catch, this is probably an assault by Urmor on that palisade. And then you get some Equite out in front. No bless, though, it looks like, which is always a little sad, but, you know, still, Equite of the Sacred Shroud, they don't need no bless, especially if they're just against some slingers. So it looks like, yeah, Tianqi has given up this fort. Don't think things are going well for Tianqi. So that works out for Urmor. They take no losses, so that's always nice, you know, even though it's mostly an empty fort. There's some unexpected events. Hey, we find some Earth Gems, that's nice. Oh, a Black Knight and his men have attacked our capital. That is less nice. So possibly this Misfortune 3 train that I've been on coming back to bite me. Some worldwide events. The Necromancer is loose, draining provinces of life. That probably will not be our problem. And then Throne of Gaia has gone back to sleep. We appreciate that. Let's see. Kilasa gets attacked. And this is Throne of Gaia related, so getting that last little swing in. This probably will work out for the Throne of Gaia. Fingers crossed, because, yep, all right, Throne of Gaia. That's on our side now. Excellent. But speaking not on our side, you kind of already see the results of this for the eagle-eyed among you. Oh, that's a lot of Demon Knights. Yeah, that's not good. And unfortunately, I mean, we hadn't reinvested that much in our province defense, but, like, not zero, because, you know, the Yellow Mold had really done a number. I think we were down to, like, 1 or maybe 0 province defense. But this is not enough. Demon Knights are not cool. Yeah, maybe we'll just leave them on top of the capital. They can provide, like, layer 1 of defense, because, like, we can actually just sneak out of our forts. Of course, that will block our mage recruitment. But on the other hand, like, I don't know about, I mean, it's like, it's one thing to attack, you know, throne defenders. It's another thing to attack demon knights. So we're going to have to think on that one. That is in the unfortunate side of things. So that's 18 demon knights, counting their commanders. That's pretty significant, like, right? They, you know, 20 hit points, 22 protection, 13, 17, strength on the high side too. They have a fear aura. They're demons at least, but we don't really have any spells right now that can, you know, help us with demons. They don't have magic weapons, so air elementals are going to do pretty well against them. But yeah, it would be really sad to waste a bunch of our air gems on demon knights just before we need them for a major battle. So yeah, we're under siege in Vanheim, but we have breached Pangea. So I'll catch you guys after the jump. All right, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. Perhaps, well, I don't know. There's a couple of important things this turn. We are going to be trying to storm in Pangea. We talked about why there's really no reason to wait. We've hinted out all of our gems. We've split our forces between our two commanders. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of Dryad. Hopefully someone will survive and the Vanherses will go in. I think if anybody survives that has troops on them, then we'll be able to take Pangea. If nobody survives, we will probably have lost the game because, to have all these Vanherses stranded, I don't know. We'll see. We are going to have, these guys are headed home, but we'll at least have a Raider Vanherse nearby who maybe can come pick them up. However, he is trying to raid here, so we'll see how this goes. He may also die. We're about to finish our research for Mist Form, so that's what this cast is about. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I mean, if we have no commanders here and we've, stranded a good chunk of our sacreds and not managed to take this capital, that could be lights for us. So, we'll see. That's going to be pretty momentous. I guess we are moving, we're moving Tomb Shadow in, and I believe these guys can lead, they can lead some living troops. So, we'll be able to pick up the pieces somewhat, but I mean, Tomb Shadow is just going to get assassinated the same way, right? We're never really going to be able to get those Vanherses off of Pangea. So we'll see. I mean, these are Van Jarls, so they're a little tougher to assassinate. And, this guy has a stone bird, and that is intended, to give him an extra attack and maybe try to repel a bit against the bugs and, really clear them out quickly. We've seen how, the air gems not so useful in the assassination attempts, but the Van Jarls do have air too, so it is possible that he'll summon a lesser air elemental, which should help, will cause some problems for his defense. Because they'll get a lot of fatigue. That's why they don't like casting right when they're on the edge of being able to cast it. But the bugs tend to harass down the defense so much anyway. I mean, we've seen how the defense isn't really a defense against the bugs. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Also, in capital siege related news, we know about these demon knights here. So we're going to come out. We're going to spend some air gems, sadly. Just summoning a few air elementals, right at the start. Yeah, we're going to summon an earth elemental as well. We're actually not going to bring out our ogres, which maybe a mistake. But we're hoping we are bringing home the Vanherses, right? So we do have a good chunk of Vanherses now, and we are committing a lot of mages to this. Because, shock damage is going to be pretty useful, and the air elementals should spread the demon knights out a bit, so we hopefully won't have to fight them all at once. And our Vanherses are pretty scary. So, I mean, I think this is going to work. It's just a question of, could we do it with fewer mage turns? Could we do it with fewer gems? Possibly, but this is, I mean, not all of this is going to be attacking. A lot of these guys are still hanging out and researching, but, roughly what you're looking at, right here, that's what's going to be fighting. So we are committing quite a bit. Related to that, our research is in a sad place. So, I mean, we'll at least get Alteration 3 next turn, and then we're working on that Evocation, but may not even have Evocation 3 by the time, the pivotal battle happens with Bandar, Kael'thasa. We've talked about how I'm not even sure how useful Evocation 3 is going to be, and there's very, very little chance that we're going to have Evocation 5 for Storm, which would be pretty useful against all those arrows. Otherwise, I know I had toyed with not breaking this siege, but I'd forgotten, of course, this is where our Vanherses come from, so even losing this one turn of Vanherse recruitment is very sad. So yeah, we absolutely need to unlock the capital immediately. But otherwise, in terms of our recruitment, we're recruiting a Van Jarl here, since, I mean, this is it. This is our only unlocked fort right now. Recruiting one mage on, what is this, turn 30? Turn 31? Yeah, that's not great, turn 31. Otherwise, our recruitment is actually just the Surf Warriors. Again, we're going to need just some mines for that Soul Slay and the Mine Burn. So we're hoping our Ogres will soak up some of that. But, I mean, we kind of want them for siege strength. Now, I mean, it's not really looking like we're going to be taking too many of Kael'thasa's forts in the near future, so we will have some time to build up ogres again or some other form of siege strength. But if we can have these guys take some soul slays and mine burns, especially instead of our Vanherses, that is preferred. So I think this is more worthwhile. Like, we can only get a couple elven troops out of this, and I just don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. We are sending out, another one of our raiders, so sadly forgot to give him any gems, although not sure how many gems we want to spend. Mist form definitely is a big upgrade for these guys, but I mean, we've already spent quite a few gems kitting him out, so it's probably worth testing to see if mist form is strictly necessary, or if we can get away with, lighter kitting. And then we are forging another set of that kit. Yeah, like I said, I haven't really fully tested this, so forging a lot of sets of this kit is a bit dangerous since we don't know how well it's going to work. But a lot of these items, like the Girdle of Might, is always useful, and the Dancing Trident we can use if we don't finish things off with Pangea and we're able to send some mages down there. It will be useful to have some defense against those bugs. That more or less covers, what we're up to. Oh, I guess the kill squad is going down here. I honestly have no idea where Bandar is going to go. Again, they might be working with Pangea, so it's still a bit up in the air. This actually is not in Pangea's cap circle, so conceivably, they could still kind of leave Pangea, to their own devices. I mean, realistically, Pangea is kind of screwed, but, Kael'thasa may not be interested in antagonizing them, wanting to, hang on to an ally. So in that sense, this is kind of a lower probability province. On the other hand, right, we get so many air gems from this province that it's it's kind of worth it to just sit on this province anyway and, make sure it doesn't get raided away. And there is some danger that we run into a Pangean raiding force, in which case, we may kind of waste our kill squad. I don't know. It's going to be difficult to get these guys to connect with the right target, absolutely. But that's the guess that we're making. We'll see how that goes. Bandar, chose to be cautious. Obviously, they don't know where our stack of Vanheres are, other than if they are in contact with Pangea, they know a lot of them are down here. But they're not foolish. They know that Vanheres come out of our capital, so they're probably going to have to face off against some Vanheres, and they would prefer to know exactly what they're up against before they commit their army. There's really no need for them to rush, right? They're much larger than we are, so every turn that goes by is a turn they're getting stronger faster than we're getting stronger. So yeah, this is definitely a dangerous player, and I am tempted to reach out to them and to offer peace. I mean, we do need to hold on to this throne province. Obviously, losing this province is pretty rough, and losing the fort as well, even if it is a bramble fort, and it's not fantastic, but we just need forts and nature mage that come out of here. But I just think realistically, this is going to be a really difficult fight for us, and our time would probably be better spent against Calum. It's just, we haven't really shown Kael'thasa, they have no reason right, to seek peace. Why would they seek peace? Their ultimate victory is at hand. They squashed a group of our Vanheres, so they're probably not too worried about that. We haven't shown them any answer to their thugs yet, so it's going to be pretty easy to mop up our territory. And they've got an army that's more or less, it's not like this army wouldn't be useful against other players, but it's going to be most useful against elves, right? So they've kind of tailored their army to defeating Vanheim. So it's why would they seek peace at this point? So I think realistically we're going to have to destroy this army and maybe kill some of their thugs and maybe retake this fort. If we can retake this fort, then at that point offering peace, maybe even offering, well, I think they may have. No, they didn't start. This is where we lost our raiding group. But, maybe offering a bit of other territory or, offering a payment of gems. I don't think we're going to be able to get out of this easily. But if we are able to at least turn around this attack, and convince Kael'thasa that it's finishing off Vanheim is actually going to be a huge pain. They have other neighbors. They have other concerns. So I think our goal for this war is not to eat Kael'thasa, but just to convince them to go away, ideally regaining the territory that we lost, although that's not strictly required, because again, Calum is, having some trouble. They've managed to lock down Archocephaly again, so, the dance continues, but if we can jump in on this in the not too distant future, also, It's looking like things with Femoria aren't quite finished. So, is going to need a few more turns to finish out this situation. Also looks like Femoria managed to go underwater, though I imagine the underwater nations will probably take care of that in the not too distant future. But anyway, is going to be finishing off their war relatively soon, so we might have a pretty willing ally to help us with Calum, and we stand to gain a lot of ground that is going to be pretty useful for us too in terms of connecting our Pangean. Like, we have such a massive border with Calum now that, I think Calum makes much more sense for us, as a war target versus Kael'thasa. But of course, for that to happen, we need to convince Kael'thasa to go away. So for the foreseeable future, we're going to be eating some assassination attempts, and we're going to be trying to hold off Kael'thasa. So yeah, I think that more or less covers turn 31.